how military contractors and the UN were involved in child sex slavery in Bosnia. It has all kinds of awards, and it's winning. Maybe, I don't know. It's up to you if you want to get a direct.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm aware of the whistleblower coming out. I think I saw a trailer for that months ago. I mean, it came out in mainstream news. Everywhere the UN goes, everywhere DynCorp and Halliburton go. Shit, I mean, do people think I just get on air and say Halliburton runs child kidnapping rings, Chicago Tribune, and that it's not true? Or I get up here and say Al Gore's former chief of staff for Texas was Rick Perry, and it's not true? Of course it's true. That's what I mean. These people, do you know who the #1 private contractor is for CPS in the United States? Most of them aren't even officers of the court, as fraudulent as the courts are. Do you know who the #1 group is grabbing kids in America? Do you know? Jonathan?
Yes, I know DynCorp.
DynCorp, absolutely. So DynCorp's in the news actually going and grabbing kids out of houses to fly them to Saudi Arabia and other places. But then they're in your town coming to your door. These are hardcore criminals, man. And by the way, I got death threatened a lot 5 years ago when I talked about this. I don't care, murderers. I'm not going to cowardly sit here and let you do this. You understand, murdering scumbags?
A very wealthy U.S. citizen is predicting that in 2011, we will witness the most important day in America in more than 50 years. He says it will change everything about our lives. The way you shop, travel, invest, educate your children, and even how you take care of your health and your own family. Now, this man has made some outrageous predictions over the years. The crazy part is, he's usually right. You see, he predicted the collapse of GM, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and America's biggest mall owner, General Growth Properties. In fact, Barron's called his work a dire prophecy. Recently, he created a video, which you can watch online for free, detailing his biggest and most important prediction yet. And it's a real eye-opener. I can't stress this enough. You should at least watch this free video online today. He explains everything you need to know, including simple steps you can take to protect yourself. You can find the video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica, the number 3.com. Watch the free video at www.endofamerica3.com. That's endofamerica3.com. Congratulations to our friends at eFoodsDirect.com. In August, they celebrate 30 years in the long-term storable food business. To celebrate, eFoodsDirect.com is offering the lowest price ever on their 1-year Freedom Food Supply, even less than the price in 1981. For a limited time, you get 30% off a 1-year Freedom Supply, which provides 3 hearty meals per day for one adult. The Freedom Supply includes a large variety of fruits and vegetables, dairy, legumes, grains, sprouting seeds, and more. Plus, you get a generous supply of their quick fix meals. This is the most complete, extensive, and affordable unit they have ever offered. Call 800-409-5633 or go to eFoodsDirect.com/Alex and get 30% off a 1-year food supply. If you have ever considered getting a supply, now is the time. Call 800-409-5633. That's 800-409-5633 or eFoodsDirect.com/Alex. This is Alex Jones with 5 good reasons you should consider buying a solar power generator. Number 1, new climate legislation could easily double or triple your electric bill. Number 2, our new energy czar wants to control how much power your electric company allows you to have. It's true. Total government control of electricity in the name of smart grid technology is coming. Number 3, in some areas of the country, the power grid is dangerously overloaded. And now new socialist legislation is only compounding the problem. Number 4, dangerous weather is always a threat to local grids. Every year, thousands of families lose their power from weather-related outages. Number 5, a solar power generator provides powerful backup insurance and peace of mind. Folks, I really believe in the solar power generators offered by Solutions from Science, one of my oldest sponsors. You can get more information at www.mysolarbackup.com. That's mysolarbackup.com. Remember, the government doesn't own the sun, so go to mysolarbackup.com or call 1-877-327-0365.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
That's right, from deep behind Texas, occupied by offshore criminal banks. I'm Alex Jones, your host, and if we don't wake up the full magnitude of the occupation, and that I was talking about last segment because a caller brought it up, DynCorp Halliburton in the Chicago Tribune, in other big papers, caught running child sex rings kidnapping women, men, for slave operations. And they're offshore. They're over in Dubai, so they can get away with it. And DynCorp and other big contractors, but DynCorp is the biggest group, run the actual CPS enforcers in most states. The person that's the CPS agent with the satanic eyes that comes to your house to take your kids because there's dirty dishes or because the neighbor saw you yelling at your kids or whatever. The people that are 5 times more likely in the Justice Department's own numbers to kill or hurt your child. The most dangerous place in the world is in those pedophiles' clutches. Now, they're not pedophiles. They're just mentally ill people that were abused themselves and think everybody else is an abuser and hate parents and believe that the state is their parents because they were institutionalized. They're either kids that have been institutionalized and the state's their mommy and their daddy, like something out of Russia or Nazi Germany. This is what CPS is. Or they're mindless socialists who hate the family. That's taught in their textbooks. I've read them here on air about they want to annihilate the family. Or they're hardcore, pure mercenaries. Or they're pedophiles. And the largest group of those 4 groups is pedophile. Oh, by the way, that's in the criminology reports. Do you know how many truancy officers are pedophiles? You know how many Boy Scout leaders are pedophiles? You know how many, why do you think so many Catholic priests are pedophiles? Because, yeah, there's a lot of folks that do like children, want to help them, want to see them grow. But then there's also the predators that come in. And so governments have always gone in and killed the parents and taken the children. The Romans did that so they could re-educate them. And so the caller, was bringing up how it's all over the news now that the UN and others are involved in all this. It was always in the news. I don't get up on the air and say DynCorp and Halliburton got caught running child kidnapping rings. I would be sued immediately. I would be off the air if it wasn't true. I have literally scores of mainstream news articles, congressional hearings. I've seen Congress people ask Rumsfeld when he was in there, why are you allowing them to still have contracts? Because even though they're involved in this. And he said they're allowed to. They paid a fine. If you were out grabbing women and children off the street, you'd go to prison or get the electric chair, and you should. They do it, and it's like, well, it's the government. Folks, it's so far beyond the media's liberal or they're environmental wackos. They don't know what they're doing. Oh, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And they've got, at the highest levels, people that are fully conscious of it. Most of them are just little, self-centered, trendy people that want to be pundits or anchors that will say whatever they're told, and they hear the big national pundits put out the propaganda, and then they parrot it, and then they get patted on the head by the program director, because the program director is a parrot and thinks, well, this is what the big guys talk about. This is establishment. And that's how they've maneuvered us into this just twilight zone of evil. Well, not me. Not me. I am not going along with this. I was back in the back, and maybe the guys weren't listening, but they're like, why are you saying that the census is coming to people's houses? The census is over. No, it's not over. Exactly. You're living in the old America, where they only came every 10 years. They've announced 10 years ago that it would be every year and for some every month. And it's all over the news, monthly census visits, outside of law, and they will threaten to call the cops on you if you don't answer all their questions and let them in your house. Okay, these are the little Soviet national security force, just as big and just as strong as our military. Now, let's go quickly to calls here, because I got to get to this Jon Stewart clip. Let's talk to, who's been holding the longest? Matt in Alabama, thanks for holding.
Hey, Alex, thanks for having me on.
Thank you, sir. What's on your mind?
I sent you an email. Not everyone believes in this, and not all of us should do it. But we got to recognize it's going to be hard for Paul to win early primary votes in the South. And this is a Southern strategy, but it could work in urban areas across the U.S. We got to recognize that black voters, African Americans, are a huge untapped resource.
Well, they already favor Paul 5-1 over other Republicans, so I don't think that'll be a problem. They rewrote his district into a big black area years ago trying to beat him, and he only got more votes.
In South Carolina, they're over 40% of the electorate. Now, no other Republicans can reach these voters. These are primary voters. We would not be asking them to vote against Obama, but we could use them in the primary elections. Now, Paul is on record offering to give pardons to nonviolent drug users that are in federal prison. You know, everybody knows somebody that's been affected by this, especially in our black communities. They've got families and friends. It's a civil rights issue. It's a social justice issue. And for white people that still have the monkey of racism on back, this is what they need to do. They can either find the video on YouTube, search for Ron Paul pardon, put it on their iPhones, bring a friend, and start going into these minority neighborhoods and showing black voters that video.
Absolutely. Folks, if you pull into a group of, for whatever reason, on average, white people, and start trying to talk to them about politics, they're going to turn away because they're scared to talk to anybody. But if you go into black and Hispanic areas, white especially, they think it's so crazy, they will literally embrace you just to have somebody actually talk to them like they're human beings. And we need to get together for liberty. Absolutely. That's what it's all about, and it's a great idea, Matt. I appreciate your call. Okay, I'm going to continue with Skylar, and then Tim, and then Joe, and Katrina. I'll at least get to those callers before this hour ends. I do have a guest coming up as well, but I wanted to get to this Jon Stewart. Now, Jon Stewart's not his real name, and that's fine. His brother is the head of the New York Stock Exchange. That's about as mobbed up as it gets. And Jon Stewart has guests on that promote carbon taxes and the rest of it. I don't like him. I think he's very funny, but I don't, as an individual, I know he's cold-blooded, using humor. And I've seen his assistants beat up people on the street of New York that just try to give them information or dare ask questions at one of his shows about 9/11 Truth. You can pull that video up. But the point is that Jon Stewart would have to come out and show that they're ignoring Ron Paul last night, illustrates the fact that the system, Politico said it today, went back, AP came out and said, okay, he really is the front runner. Yes, he is dominating everything. They only did this after it blew up in their face. They got such a backlash now that they're jumping on the bandwagon. They'll now start shifting into scandals. Just look for that. But we are beating them here. There's a tipping point happening. Let's go ahead and play this Jon Stewart clip. Here it is.
So now with Pawlenty dropping out, Rick Perry dropping in, and Michelle Bachmann and Ron Paul dominating the Ames straw poll, we got ourselves a race.
We have a top tier. It is Mitt Romney, Rick Perry, and Michelle Bachmann.
We have a new top tier, and it's Perry, Mitt Romney, and Bachmann.
There's now a top tier in this race, at least for now.
See the talking point?
Romney, Perry, and Bachmann.
I mean, I think that's fair to say. Really fair to say? You're not forgetting, I don't know, anyone, say an ideologically consistent 12-term congressman who came within less than 200 votes of winning the straw poll? Isn't anyone going to give that gentleman a little love?
There's a top tier now of Bachmann and Perry and Romney, and, you know, we haven't mentioned, and we should.
Thank you.
We haven't mentioned, and we should, Rick Santorum, who did really surprisingly well for the amount of money and resources
We got third place.
Rick Santorum? He didn't get half of what Ron Paul got. He lost to the guy who lost so bad he dropped out of the race. Santorum?
We're looking at Mitt Romney, who continues to be the front runner, but we have Rick Perry as well, and now Michelle Bachmann. Let's not count out John Huntsman, though.
What? John Huntsman? Huntsman got 69 votes. If all of John Huntsman's supporters met at the same Ames, Iowa Quiznos, the fire marshal would say, yeah, that's fine, no problem. There's still some tables open in the back. Huntsman was the only Mormon running in the straw poll, and he came in second amongst Mormons. And by the way, this pretending Ron Paul doesn't exist for some reason has been going on for weeks.
A new Gallup survey showing Rick Perry running second to Mitt Romney, knocking down Iowa favorite Michelle Bachmann to fourth.
Behind who? Fourth behind who? How did Libertarian Ron Paul become the 13th floor in a hotel? Why? What's wrong with... He is Tea Party patient zero. All that small government grassroots business, he planted that grass. These other folks, they're just moral majorities in a tri-cornered hat. Ron Paul's the real deal, and Fox News should love this guy. But watch the disconnect between the debate moderators at Fox's Thursday debate and the debate audience.
Iran does not have an air force that can come here, just like we did in Iraq. Build up the war propaganda. There was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and they had nuclear weapons, and we had to go in. I'm sure you supported that war as well.
Yeah.
It's time we quit this. It's time. It's trillions of dollars we're spending on these wars.
Did you hear the crowd?
What's with the smirk and the eye roll? The crowd goes nuts and you do one of these.